Alright, I've tried to make this video so many times, so props to content creators. Honestly, this is just unbelievably challenging. So bear with me though. I'm going to try to make this video as fast as possible and as clear as possible, even though this is just super challenging to talk about. I don't encourage anybody to do this on their actual account or on their main account. I think it'll ruin your ability to play the game Rocket League, and I think that you should do it on an alternate account, even though Rocket League would hate that I'm saying that. But it's the best way to do it if you don't believe me, or if you want to try it out for yourself. But what I'm going to talk about today is binding. So I'm not necessarily talking about whether you bind left or right to square or circle, or whether you binded air roll to drive backwards or left or whatever the hell Xbox players use. I'm talking about the order of how you bind it. So again, not necessarily if you use right or left, or if you use arrow, just the order of how you binded it. So whether you binded right before you touched arrow, or if you binded arrow before you touched left or right, or right before left, everything matters in terms of the sequence of how you binded it. Even if you binded, even if you use right, but you binded left first, that has an impact on the physical properties of your car. So I'm going to talk about the physical mechanics of your car and how that changes based on the order of what you bind. And again, I have so much information on this from the last 4 years that I've been doing this. I've been playing since 2016. I've gotten as high as GC3, although it's just not as fun anymore to try and competitive, so I just try to have fun. But I have a lot of information on this, and I just want to make this video as quick as possible, because every time I try to make this video it ends up being way too long and I can never get through it. But again, physical properties of your car are this, your ability to go up and down and turn and left and right without using arrow. So you're driving, turning, how you make contact with the ball, where it makes contact on your car. That is all physical properties of your car. So I believe, and again, this is all just a theory. My friends think I'm insane, which is possible, but I've just tested this so many times to where it just can't be untrue, is where I'm at. And again, I can't believe I'm the only one to talk about this ever, but understandably, because it's very confusing. But I'm going to try to run through this as fast as possible. The only things that I'm changing are these four things: left, right, arrow, and drive backwards. I'm on a new account here. I believe that when you spawn into Rocket League again, arrow and drive backwards are on the same button, L2. I believe that the game, in the order of sequence, would bind drive backwards before it binded arrow. So that matters in terms of the properties of your car. If you were to bind arrow, if I rebinded it, so if I clicked X, rebinded arrow to L2, and then clicked drive backwards and rebinded it, that would actually change the physical mechanics of my car and the properties of my touches and everything like that. So just before I do anything, I just want to kind of provide a little bit more context for people, especially people who've played the game as long as I have. I'm going to take a sip of water maybe real quick. Oh, that's delicious. But if you've been playing this game for as long as I have, you know your car. You know that if the ball were to come over here and you did this, that would get a certain touch for you. Or if you were to hit the ball there, or do this, or slice the ball off, this part of your car, for the most part, like, 95%, what that ball should do off your car. And we've all played, endless games to where we've played against people constantly who were questioning how did he get that touch? How did he flip in that manner and the ball went that way, or he flipped and it went much farther than, or faster than, I know if I did that same flip in that situation, then my ball would have gone. And I'm questioning, how did that happen? It happens all the time. So that's just kind of one of the things that I realized, where I was like, this kind of has to be the case. Everybody's got their settings and order of operations in different ways, and everybody can get different touches, and it's kind of cool. And I think that's why this is the hardest game ever created, because It goes even much deeper than that. If I were to make changes to this, like if I were to bind left and right and air roll and then do this default and click default, the changes that I made and the effects that it had on my car and my physical properties would actually not be, like, I wouldn't come back to the stock Rocket League that I have right now with no changes. Um, like that, it wouldn't exist anymore. This feeling of Rocket League that I have right now, these touches, even though I defaulted my changes after that, they stick with the car. So when I make changes, I'll kind of try to explain that, but again, I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. I'm just kind of trying to, get the idea out here and maybe get the conversation started as best as I can. So, um, I believe this is why a lot of people have ended up in the situations that they're in as well. You have people who have been in Diamond 3 for 6 years. I just saw a video that the highest player, with the most wins is in Diamond 3, which is just absurd. But, I think people have made so many changes to their settings that they end up, again, because if you default, it still kind of carries over a lot of the properties that it changed for you. So when you make these changes, you get certain, effects, whether it's, you get a little bit more speed, you get a faster flip, you get, to almost float in some of these. There's some changes you can do to really alter the abilities of your car, but there are also lots of negatives that come with them. So if you make, you take one hand and one comes away. So if I can fly higher, I'm not able to turn as fast in some of these bindings in terms of the air. So I think that's why a lot of people have ended up where they're at. You see freestylers all the time who, can get a triple flip reset, double musty, dunk it on your head type deal, and then they're, Diamond 3 in competitive play and they can't make an open net. So that's really, kind of obvious to me that this is pretty true. I don't think the idea of washed is true either. It's kind of like the 10,000 rule. If somebody's done something for so long, like a lot of the pro and, Rocket League players who end up being washed or whatever, I don't think they would lose the ability to play the game. Just like if you, didn't go to the gym and, you went to the gym forever, like it would only take you about a month to get back to where you're at. I just think people have made so many changes in terms of defaulting or not defaulting and just rebinding that it gunks up their car. And it, again, once you make a change, it changes everything. It changes your touches. It changes your air roll. It changes everything about how your car interacts with the game. So, I'm going to try to do my best to explain this. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. But I have a ton of information on this, and I could talk about this more if people tried it and they also realize that this is a part of Rocket League and has been a part of Rocket League for, since the game came out. So I'm going to show you one of these that I'm just going to show you, if I do something. So again, my car is kind of operating like this right now in stock Rocket League. If I make a change to where I'm, again, only touching the 4 here, I'm going to bind left first, rebind, drive backwards, grind right, and then end it off with air roll. Again, the game is only going to recognize that I'm touching L2, but I binded these together to where, again, if you touch them, it doesn't matter if I'm using them or not. Again, it's the physical properties of binding them and how it interacts with your car. So again, I'm not even using left or right, yet it changes the entirety of how my car interacts with the game. So I'm going to have just different touches here. So now my car is turning in a different manner. I can do different things. Again, this is just me not touching air roll. I can't turn right. Again, there are some setbacks that you get with each of these. Like I'm kind of struggling to turn my car in the air to the right. I'm sure my turning is impacted. One way is faster than the other. If I were to turn right, that's much quicker than if I'm trying to turn left. And that's all about the order of how I binded it. Now, I do believe that binding left before right, again, whether you use right or left, is kind of irrelevant. Binding left before right, it just has felt like for, again, 4 years that it gives me more boost in terms of I travel further with left binded first versus right. And again, I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but it's just the truth. So there are tons of different bindings. That's just one where left is in front. Um, the if you have right and left in front of air roll and drive backwards, you have a more quick impact, but if you have them afterwards, the car definitely has a slower feel to it, but again, you get certain perks. Like there are freestylers who seem like they're floating, and if I were to try to do that, again, I would reset, but again, the changes that I just made are in the background, so again, super challenging to explain. But if I wanted to try to float, quote unquote, I would make air roll left or right or both in the middle of my sequence. So I would have air roll first. Let's just for fun do right first and then left in the middle, and then cap it off with drive backwards. And I know this all sounds crazy, and I'm not even sure that this is the right way to even explain this or if it's correct in terms of how I'm explaining it. It's just the only way that I can kind of get the conversation started, that making changes in these settings, I don't know, certainly a lot of these don't do anything to your physical properties of your car, but there are a lot of things that you can touch in here that will actually change the mechanics of your car. So I just did one where I should, in theory, be a lot more floaty. I should be able to use a lot less boost to keep my car up, and that is the case. I can use a lot less boost to keep my car up into the air. I do feel as though this is a very floaty sensation to where I almost could hopefully catch this ball. But each time I make these changes, my car is different. The way that my car is aerialing is different, and if you can pick up on it, great. It's really hard to actually tell if you don't use just free air roll. I'm flipping the same way and turning the same way. Just the car physically is interacting with the air roll in a different manner every time that I make a categorical change to the bindings. So that's kind of a floaty one. Again, when I default this, it'll go into the background, still have a floaty type binding. I can't control this one, but you definitely keep a lot of the changes that you did. So I'm going to try a different one now where, again, I already defaulted, so these aren't binded. I'm going to try a different now where these are in front, and it's a much quicker experience in terms of getting to the ball, in terms of the way that my car aerials, like the tightness of it. See if I can even explain this. Yeah, this one's kind of hard to see. It's obvious on other changes. Let's see if I can I'm just going to keep changing these, so maybe somebody will be able to notice. This is kind of a combination as well. It's a very different flip. That's a very clear flip. I mean, I wasn't able to do that before, and now I'm able to catch the ball, and my flips are different, my touches are different after all these changes. This is a good one. I like this binding a lot when I go to it. But again, you have like everything you've done in the background is still on here. So as I make these changes, it compounds onto itself. So I'm not sure how else to I can talk about this more, but I'm not really sure how to continue this video without just diving super into the weeds and confusing everybody entirely. But I wasn't able to air dribble 10 seconds ago before I did this binding, and now, this binding has allowed the properties. I'm still just using arrow, right? Just allow the properties of my car to allow me to do a lot of different things in the game. So, that's kind of just getting the conversation started about this. I'm happy to, I guess, answer questions or do whatever, but I just wanted to get the conversation started that this is a real thing that you're dealing with in Rocket League, and you may not be as bad as you think you are if you change your bindings. So, there you go. Have a good one.